Yo, what's up? Over the last weeks and months, many of you asked me to show you my control settings, so here is your wish fulfilled. I'm gonna show them and explain them because I'm using heavily modified settings that are very much different from the normal default settings. Why? Because the normal settings are literally just the default settings you see in most games. They work for most players, but they are quite slow and they are very cumbersome for many functions. So over the course of the last 3 years, I optimized my settings by making them much faster and much comfier to use, meaning my soldiers usually move faster, react faster, and I have to click much less than other players. Only downside of this is it takes a while to get used to them. So these settings don't mean that every one of you has to copy them. It's only for the players who want to also have more speed and a comfier time playing Enlisted by having to click less, but also don't mind to get used to it. Alright, keep in mind, if you want a graphic settings guide, I already uploaded one 2 months ago, so you can check that out too in the comments down below, linked. So, how do you change your control settings? You go to controls, very simple. Keep in mind, I will explain some things in detail if they're important and other things not, to make this guide as short as possible. One of the most important details is your mouse aiming speed and your aim acceleration. The faster these are, the faster you can aim, but the less precision you have. In general, Enlisted is a game where speed is more important than precision, because you don't want to headshot single enemies, you want to spray groups of enemies quickly away. So these settings will be usually faster than in other games, but keep in mind, you want to have very similar settings across all the games you play. So you don't have to always get used to a specific game again, because it will basically confuse you whenever you play another game. So I'm basically using these settings for all other games too, and it makes everything easier and comfier. And if you played other games professionally in the past, you might have slower aiming speed, because Counter-Strike professionals usually use aiming speeds of 0.8, 0.5 and so on to be able to pixel snipe. I'm personally rather having the faster speed for Enlisted than having faster precision. Yeah, so these are my settings. If you're used to slower settings, that's not a problem. Keep your settings that you are used to. These are exactly the 2 settings you don't want to copy from someone on the internet. These are the settings you need to have the way you're used to. Yeah, so keep that in mind, very important. Now, the other settings though are very much worth copying. First, regarding movement, I don't have anything special. I have standard jump, I have standard ADSW, I have standard sprint on shift, and crawl on G, crouch on Y, and also on control. Then, here on weapons, I have some of the first big changes. You might notice I have lots of functions on left mouse button. Why? Because the more functions you have on the left mouse button, the less you have to click overall, and the fewer other buttons you have to use. For example, I have shooting on left mouse button, I have breath holding on left mouse button, so my soldiers basically shoot more precisely while shooting, every time I shoot. I have throw back grenade on left mouse button, which is extremely useful, because it has the highest priority out of all left mouse button activities. So whenever there's an enemy grenade flying towards you, you can instantly throw it back. If you see a grenade on the ground, you just click on it, even roughly in the direction of the grenade, and you're going to throw it back. And if there's a grenade, even a Molotov throwing in your face, you just click on it mid-air and your soldier is going to throw it back. Yeah, so extremely effective, and you get free kills from that. Very useful, very nice. Now, I got a zooming in toggled on right click, meaning if I want to zoom in with a weapon, I just right click and the soldier stays zoomed in. So I don't have to constantly hold the right mouse button. It has 2 advantages: A, it's very comfy to use, and B, you have more precision, because if you constantly have one finger under pressure, under tension, you lose precision in the other fingers. And you're literally getting less precise while doing your actual aiming while you're holding your zoom in. So you absolutely want to have zoom in toggled on right mouse click. So you just have to click once and then not click again. Now, if you want to unzoom, you just click right mouse click again, and then you unzoom and everything's fine. So yeah, for those who don't know, breath holding is limited to a few seconds. So you can't just take a 100 round machine gun and stay zoomed in for 30 seconds. You need to only zoom in for a few seconds and then leave it again. For most weapons in Enlisted, it doesn't matter. If you're using soldiers who have large magazine sizes, usually machine gunners, then you can just give them 1 or 2 breath holding perks. Or if you're using sniper rifles that you stay zoomed in for a long time, yeah, then you could give them 1 or 2 red breath holding perks, which I also explained in my perk guides, and then you can maximum profit from the setup. Then gun reload as usual, grenade launcher toggle. Since grenade launchers got basically unusable now, this is a button I don't care about. I have it. It can be any button that you don't need to have close to your left hand, because RBCU is so far away from where your left hand is usual that you have to take extra effort. You usually have to look at your keyboard, so you can't do this quickly. But since you're gonna use grenade launchers very rarely in Enlisted anyway, it doesn't matter if it's so far away. Then special weapon I have on shift, which, well, I think it's mines. Yep, this is mines. So when I want to drop a mine, I can quickly do it by just using my left small finger, or yeah, my left small finger, and I can quickly drop a mine, which is not hard to do. Then I deactivated all leaning, A, because it looks ridiculous, and B, because it's completely unrealistic and ahistorical. So I'm not leaning at all in any of my games that I'm playing. Instead, I'm using the lean buttons for other activities that make me much faster, because I don't have to, because you get 2 prime close buttons available to your left hand. Instead of having to do main activities like melee attacks with some random buttons far away, I can just do it with the close buttons to my left hand. Keep in mind, leaning gives you dispersion penalties in Enlisted, so your shots are less precise. So it's not even that useful overall anymore. So you rather just have not a dispersion penalties. Now, why do I have melee on Q? Very simple. Basically only for charge. Now, this gives you 2 advantages. If you're in a fight and you want to quickly melee attack the enemy, you can either do some complicated clicking, or you just click Q and your soldier instantly is gonna hit the enemy with his weapon. So that's one advantage. But the main advantage is, if you're charging, you don't have to constantly hold your mouse buttons. You can just hold Q, which is much more comfortable to run around than constantly hold your mouse. This is the main reason why I have this on Q. Then throw grenade on 5. I also have throw grenade on E, which is the other leaning button. Why? Well, this is the default button. I have the second button of E, which is also throw grenade and down state. No matter what you have in your hand, with this setup, if you click E, your soldier is instantly going to switch to a grenade. And you can either throw your grenade, or you can quickly, if you have only one, or if you have multiple grenades, you can throw them after switching to the grenade with your shooting button. And also switch between your grenade types. Because if you have, for example, 3 different grenades equipped on a soldier, you can quickly spam E and get the grenade you want. If you have any other button, it might take longer, but with this setup, it's extremely fast and comfortable. And if you're downed, you can just also quickly spam E and release all your grenades before you die. So also very useful. Then, yeah, the rest is not too important. This is the button left of number 1. And I basically never use it. I just put it there because I had another button for use binoculars, and I removed it. I think it was 8 or something like that. I removed it. Yeah. Then regarding view, nothing special except for C. You can hold C and then look around by moving your mouse, which is very useful for vehicles, especially planes. And of course, as I said, I don't have any leaning. Then regarding squad, well, the most important takeaways here are that switch member I have on Z, but I basically never click Z. I have this on a special button on my mouse, because this is one of the prime targets to use mouse buttons for. If you have only one special mouse button, put this on your mouse. If you hold it, you can quickly choose any specialist in your squad. Most of the time it will be a radio man or anti-tank gunner or engineer. Quickly get him, grab him, and then attack or do something. Or if you're under fire, you can quickly spam the mouse button to switch to a soldier that can fight and shoot back. Because oftentimes if you're under fire, most of your squad will be downed, and if you switch the normal way, it will be very slow and all of your squad gets shot. But this way you can quickly find the one soldier that can actually still fight. And then giving orders, this is useful to change the aggression of your squad. You basically want your bots to be as aggressive as possible, so they always shoot back. It doesn't make much sense to have your bots less aggressive, because then they will just not shoot back even if they get shot at. So yeah, but this is something you basically do once every couple weeks to make sure that the game didn't mess up your settings, and that's it. So yeah, these buttons can be far away. Yep. And then X button, if you want to order your bots to wait somewhere, just look on the ground and then click X on the ground and they will wait there. Or if you have multiple engineers in your squad, you can place a structure with one engineer, then click X on that structure and the other engineers are going to finish building it. And of course the artillery button, where you can choose your artillery functions. Then regarding vehicles, this is where I have a special... This is where my settings are different from most players, almost all players. The difference is, a few months ago Gaijin released an update that completely messed up some settings and introduced a few bugs. Now Gaijin didn't solve this bug because very few people are affected by that bug. Because the bug only affects players who have shooting on their breath holding. Which is, if you're using my fast shooting setup, is going to be you. This bug causes you to not being able to shoot with your tanks anymore. The way to use it is if you switch your tank shooting from left mouse to something else. What I noticed is if you basically switch your shooting and zooming in for your tanks to shoot with right click and zoom with left click, you don't have the bug anymore. And the other thing I noticed, it's actually much better to shoot this way, because shooting with the with the middle finger and zooming with left click for me was much more precise and comfier than the normal way. So I was very happy to have found this setting, and this is setting a few people copied after hearing it from me, and also found out, oh yeah, this is actually giving you a very nice advantage in tank fights. Now obviously most people kept it secret, but now I'm sharing it with you, since, well, I invented it so I can share it with everyone. Yeah, this is a big advantage. If you want more precision with your tanks and if you want to pixel snipe very effectively, this is the way to go. Keep in mind, this also affects anti-tank guns and anti-air guns, because Gaijin views these also as vehicles when it comes to settings. Then, regarding ammo types, or of course, the rest is basically the same. Now there's one important button some people don't know about, it's the J button. You can, if you want to repair your tank, exit the tank with just one soldier and not with your whole crew. And you do this by holding J, which is very useful, especially when you're under fire. Also, quite often, I guess every couple of weeks, you get the bug in Enlisted that if you spawn a vehicle, it can't drive. Now some people just close the game if that happens, because they don't know how to deal with the bug. The easy solution is you just leave the vehicle with one soldier and you get back in and then you can drive. Yeah. So this is how you avoid that bug that also Gaijin has since a few years and then doesn't fix. And the rest is basically the same and nothing special here. Yep. Also look out the hatch with control. Also something many players don't know. You can usually, if you have the commander active, look out of your tank, which is giving you a very nice way to see more than you usually would. But obviously be careful to not be a curious tank commander who gets sniped by enemies. So only do this if you're far away from enemies, or do this very quickly. Just click control and then instantly click it again. So you peek out, get a look of what's going on, and then instantly get back in so you don't get shot. So yeah. Then plane settings. Here I might have changed a few, so feel free to just copy them the way they are here. I won't explain too much, I already explained C. The biggest takeaway here is that if you have different cannons on your planes, usually you can get heavy cannons like 30 or 37 millimeters, and then small machinery, small weapons like machine guns and 20 millimeter cannons. You can put these heavy autocannons on different buttons. And then you can choose which you shoot with. I tried it out and I noticed it overtaxes your focus, it makes you slower, and most of the time it gives you fewer kills, because instead of spamming maximum firepower at your enemies, you're spamming less firepower, and then you save up ammunition, yes, but then you get shot. And then saved up ammunition that doesn't get used is wasted. So yeah, my philosophy is to deal as much damage as possible in a short amount of time, and then resupply and repeat the same over and over again. So even if I get shot in between, I still dealt a lot of damage. So that's why I have all the munition types on left click. This obviously has the downside of, if you're shooting very heavy shells, like 30mm shells that are around 4 to 5 times as heavy and as big as 20mm shells, they are flying very slowly. So if you're shooting at an enemy plane, you likely will miss with these shells if you're hitting with the faster flying smaller shells, or you will hit only with that shell and miss with the others. Now many people say, oh, but you're wasting ammunition. Yes, but it overall still gives you an overall higher chance to hit the target. And if you hit an enemy plane with a 30mm or 37mm, the plane is dead. Yeah, so, and mission completed. Yeah, so this is something, my personal philosophy is to just spam ammunition and get more kills, and that's it. And if I get shot down, I don't mind. I already dealt maximum damage. Then the rest is the same. Rockets for R, dropping bomb with the standard stuff. Yeah. Also, these settings I explained in my flying guide. They're quite complicated. If you really want to fly like a professional pilot, these are very important to use. I recommend watch my flying guide, link down below in the comment, where they are explained in detail. Then throttle, also important, because, well, you want to slow down, especially when doing curved maneuvers, also explained in the flying guide. This is control and shift for me, and the rest is basically, yeah, the same as usual. Then mech, that was an event from 2 or 3 years ago, and yeah, this is completely irrelevant. Then other settings, well, no one's using voice chat, so I completely deactivated it to not accidentally activate it. Then rotate building, very important for engineers, especially if you rotate barbed wire or sandbags, or if you rotate machine gun nests, so you can build them sideways, so you can align them to shoot enemies but not being shot while you're building them. Very useful. Then the F button is basically the universal use button. You can see I have like half of the stuff here on F. This is, I think, the normal settings too, because the more you have on F, the better, because then whenever you see something, you just click F on it and you're going to use it. So very nice. You can enter air guns with that. You can open doors with that. You can use ammunition boxes and stuff like that. Very nice to have. Then medkit on T. This is what I click usually. I have another button for tanks, though I always use this one. Flask, very important, because I think I have H for another setting too, but if I hold it, I'm drinking my flask. Very important after you charged to replenish your stamina with that. Drop gun, something many players don't know. You can drop guns if you want. I put it on L because it's literally the furthest right button on all of the buttons I have. So I will never accidentally drop my gun. Yeah, very important. Now, why is it useful? If you want to give a friend a gun that he doesn't have and he wants to try it out, you just drop it and he can pick it up and ta-da. Or, since soldiers who die only drop their primary guns, you can never pick up secondary guns like flamethrowers or Panzerfausts. But with this, you can. You drop your Panzerfaust and then you can pick up the Panzerfaust of another soldier. Or, if you want to give your engineer, if you know you're going to play your engineer for the next few minutes and you want to give him a better gun, you can just, at the beginning of the game, switch to another soldier, drop a sniper rifle or a machine gun, and then pick it up with your engineer, and tada, now he has that weapon. Yeah, so you can do a few tricks with that. Very nice and useful, and yeah, can be useful sometimes. Then interaction with buildings. This way you dismantle buildings. You can either dismantle enemy buildings quickly with this. Keep in mind, engineers dismantle much faster than normal soldiers. So always dismantle engineer buildings with your engineers. Also makes sense intuitively. But if you dismantle your own buildings, you get a few of the resources back. So very useful too, to give your engineers resources back if the objective switched. and you don't need an old rally point anymore, you want to build a new one somewhere else. Also useful if your structures like anti-tank guns got destroyed and they're burning, you can still dismantle them and still get resources back. Yeah, so, or if your structure is empty and doesn't have any more ammunition, you can still dismantle it and build a new one instead of replenishing it. Because, yeah, you might want to have the resources instead of the one structure standing there. Then build repair if your machine gun got shot down. If your machine gun nest got damaged, you can repair this way and shoot it again. So yeah, and these are basically irrelevant. Then interface, this is the screenshot print that I'm using to create lots of thumbnails. Also explained in detail in my graphics guide, because you can create screenshots of different quality settings and you have to change a few graphical settings for that, so that's explained there. And the rest is nothing. Well, map of course, chat with return. Yeah, obviously you want to chat sometimes, usually by telling people to build ready, so go to either the left side or the right side, or to avoid areas, usually you want to tell them don't rush in the center, it's open, it's going to be bombed and so on. So yeah, that's quite good. And here you can see the famous auto marking. By just left clicking, and whenever you shoot you're also marking, which is giving you the advantage of your team always will have information where something is going on, because people who are using auto marking are providing much more information than people who don't use it. And very important, all of your bots and your teammates' bots will always react to marks on the map. So if an enemy is hiding in the bush, if you have auto marking, all the bots will look in the bush once you shoot at the bush. Yeah, which is extremely useful with the silenced weapons, because silenced weapons mean that bots don't react to them. But if you shoot in the direction of even if you accidentally shoot in the direction of an enemy hiding somewhere with a silenced gun, the bots will still look at the direction. Yeah, and then they will see bullets flying out of the bush, and tada! This way you can basically negate the effects of silenced weapons, suppressed weapons. So yeah, very useful. And keep in mind, the upsides heavily outweigh the downsides. There are a few downsides of auto marking, but they still heavily outweigh the downsides. So like the advantages are just great. And I still have manual marking on the V button. So if I'm flying in the sky, I'm just spamming V to find tanks on the ground and anti-air guns on the ground, or just to give my teammates information while I'm in the sky. Because if you're the pilot, you're the one person who can theoretically find all the hidden APCs and all the hidden anti-air guns and anti-tank guns and tanks in the gray zone. Your teammates can't. So it's basically your task to find the information, not the teammates on the ground. Yeah, of course your teammates can mark a tank that shoots them that they can see, but very often your teammates don't give the pilots information because they don't see the stuff. Or if they see it, they instantly die in that same second. So you as a plane you basically are the spotter for the whole team, so you want to spam the V button on the ground while you're flying around. And then spectator I never used in my life, and replay I also don't really use. So yeah, that's it. These are my settings. If I leave the settings, you see I'm having conflicting stuff and I don't have any leaning. Literally doesn't matter. So yeah, now as I already said, these settings require getting used to, and you don't need to copy them, just you can keep your own settings, doesn't matter. Or you can copy a few of them and not others. But for those who want to have my settings, here you have them now. As I said, it takes roughly 1 week to play, to get used to them. But once you're using them, you're going to be much faster and the game becomes more comfier because you don't have to click as much. Alright, let me know what you think. And whether you have some cool, real, special, fancy combos or tricks that make settings nicer to play. And what you think. And of course, if you're new, make sure you subscribe to get more new cool stuff in the future, especially the update that drops in the next day, likely tomorrow. And of course, like the video and share it with other Enlisted players so we can grow here and get more people to find out about cool stuff for Enlisted. Until soon, goodbye.